Happy Sunday, folks. We're going to do some QA today. We took questions from you guys throughout the week, made it a video for you folks on this Sunday. Remember, I'm making this video on Thursday. It's actually 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So if something happened after I made the video, it is what it is. So just wait and see. So let's get this thing going here. Let's go ahead right now and subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 10,000 subscribers. With your help, we can get to that point, folks. All you got to do is subscribe. Trying to get to 10,000. If you watch this content, subscribe. Also, go to lionsnationunite.com for the latest and greatest gear. They got cool stuff like hats, balaclavas, all of that lovely stuff for you guys and your pleasure. lionsnationunite.com. Let's get into these questions here as we do now on every Saturday on Lions Nation Unite. You guys run the show. So I already seen the questions, and I'm going to give you my thoughts here. Should the Detroit Lions trade for Justin Jefferson? I don't see this happening at all. This is not a player that I see the Vikings sending in the NFC North. He's the best receiver in the NFL. And for the Detroit Lions to give up 2 first-round picks, I think that's what it would get Jefferson. I just don't see the Lions doing a move like that. Would he make this offense better? Well, duh. He's the best receiver, and then St. Brown is a top 5 receiver. Like, you would have a ridiculous receiver core. It would absolutely be amazing to watch on Sundays. It's hard for me to believe that this trade would happen in division. T.J. Hockenson is one thing, but when you're talking about the best receiver in football, I just don't see the Vikings making a trade, sending him in the division, if they even trade the guy. We don't know if he's going to even get traded. So, no, it's not going to happen there. Let me know in the comment section. Do you think that you'd have a chance to trade for Justin Jefferson? Why for yes and for no? Let me know your thoughts. Let's continue on here. Should the Lions cut Cam Sutton? You mean, who should the Lions cut Cam Sutton? Because he's already signed. Yeah, I think that he's going to get. I don't think he's going to ever play another down for the Detroit Lions. Again, the time that we're making this video, there's no clarity. He's still missing. The Lions have got to know that he's not going to be playing for them this year. And that could be the reasons why they signed a lot of veterans in free agency via trade as well this offseason. Maybe they knew about the Cam Sutton situation. They're preparing for him not to be on the football team. He's eventually going to get cut. I just don't see it. Or he gets on an exempt list or something. Don't know exactly, because this is a different situation. This is not like the Ray Rice. This is not like Adrian Peterson. This is not Antonio Brown. He's gone. He's not found yet. He may be legitimately in hiding. He may have left the country. We don't know. They've been trying to contact him for weeks, and at this point, there's no contact. So what the hell how does the NFL deal with this? I don't know if this has ever happened before, where a guy just is gone, goes on the run. So don't know. I'm really hoping that the NFL can work with the Detroit Lions here, put them on a list, and remove the money that is owed, because this is such a unique and different situation, something that the NFL probably has never dealt with before. So how are they going to deal with this? I couldn't tell you. But if the Lions cut him right now, you're going to lose that $10.5 million that for the dead cap hit, unless they're allowed to do an exempt. So he's not going to be. I just don't see him playing for the Lions this year. Okay, I don't see it at all happening. I do see him eventually getting cut. Just don't know how the process works, because this is completely new to the NFL. Maybe they'll have some sort after this year, if they'll put something in clauses where if this happens again, other teams can do situation, but this is a rare occasion. So yeah, eventually, but it's not happening right now, because we don't know what the hell's going on with him. So it's completely unique. Let me know in the comment section, do you want the Lions to cut Cam Sutton? Make him Cam Cutton. Let me know in the comments below. How can the Lions manage the Cutton situation? Well, they have to manage it just by day right now, because we don't know what the hell is going on with Sutton. The Lions got to, in my opinion, and I'm sure Brad Holmes already done this, they got to act like he's not on the roster. They got to act like they need to replace him and he's no longer going to be on this team. So they could have done that again without us going after these corners in free agency in the trade. They could do it in the draft. They have to prepare as he's not going to be here next season. 100%. They got to do this. Maybe they sign a Stephon Gilmore for a veteran to come in here to help out, and they draft a guy. Maybe they trust that Carlton Davis and Robertson, and they're like, you know what? We trust these guys. We're going to draft a guy too. But make no mistake, they got to get another corner on this football team. And I personally would like to see a veteran in replace of him and then draft a corner, because I just don't want the pressure to be placed on the young corner immediately, because as we know, sometimes that can crack somebody. And we don't play games with the corner position here in Detroit. Jeff Rakuta got just kicked out, like he got destroyed by the media and the fans. We want to have a situation where this young corner comes into here and it can smoothly transition and be a productive player for the Detroit Lions, especially we're in a win-now mode. That's why you got to have veterans, because it's going to take a little bit of time for the rookies to get going. They have rocky moments, and that's just what happens for rookies. So I'd like for them to do veteran and draft, but maybe they believe that the veteran with the Carlton Davis and the Meek Robertson is their veteran. We just don't know. But act like he is no longer here. Let me know in the comment section. What would you guys do with this situation? What is your thoughts? Let's continue on here. Should the Lions draft a wide receiver? Yes and no. If they bring back Josh Reynolds, no. There's no room for one. If they don't, they could absolutely draft a wide receiver, because Antoine Green hasn't really, I don't know if they're going to rely on him. But if Reynolds don't come back, then yeah, I mean, you don't it won't have to be early either. So I'm not talking about first round, second round, third round. Any part of the draft, they could do it. It'd be a developmental guy, but at the same time, the production of Reynolds was high. But maybe Jamison Williams can take some of those snaps now, as he is pretty much entrenched as the number 2, so they can alleviate that, and then maybe they draft a guy who can produce the other part of it, so the offense can continue to be on the same page and high-powered like a machine. But again, it takes a little bit of time for Goff and receivers to get on the same page. That's the problem here. It took DJ Chark a little bit. It took Jameson Williams a little bit. It takes them some time. But Josh Reynolds and Goff their connections, it's immediate, so you won't have to worry about that. That's why I'd like Josh Reynolds to come back, but maybe they feel there's other wide receivers that are better and they can get a cheaper player from the draft. Whatever Brad Holmes decides, I'm going to support, because he knows what he's doing. He does. We did bring Donovan Peoples-Jones back. Donovan Peoples-Jones, by the way, could get some of those snaps. And he played well last year for the Lions. He was getting open. He was catching footballs. I like Donovan Peoples-Jones. I'm happy we signed him. So it's very possible they're like, you know what, Donovan Peoples-Jones can replicate that. We'll draft a guy and have a development behind their veteran receivers. Very, very possible they could do that. What's the biggest weakness of this team? After the Cam Sutton situation, it's the corner position. It is a weakness. We don't have players in the secondary, the corner position, that understand the system that much. We picked up 2 new corners, and Cam Sutton's not going to be playing. Jerry Jacobs is not probably going to be here. Dude, they've got a whole new list, and these guys got to know the system. So generally speaking, you'd want to get a veteran in there to alleviate some of the mistakes that's going to be taking place for that corner position. Secondly, it's got to be the edge position. Marcus Davenport should not be considered to be the end-all, be-all opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. He should just be a role player, and I think the Lions will draft an edge in the draft to be more of a contributor opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. Those are significant needs right now for the Lions. You can go guard as well. Behind there, and DT. For a pass-rushing DT, someone like a Levi Onwuzurike that's good, right? A guy who's going to be predominantly rushing the quarterback from the middle and interior of the defensive line, not a DJ Reader, a guy who's going to stop the run, particularly that's his skill set. So you can find another DT in that position. Kicker is also a need if they want competition. Brad Holmes said he's going to get competition, so I fully expect the Lions to take a kicker in the draft. So those are the needs for the Detroit Lions. For sure. Offensive line. And tackle, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a need, but it's something that they need to invest in maybe for the future. Center could be a situation like that as well. Do you agree with Mike Greenberg that the Lions window is closed? No, I absolutely disagree. And I'm not going to rip on Mike Greenberg because he's not an NFL guy in the sense that he's looking at the roster and he's taking a deep dive. He's looking at it from a macro point of view. He probably rarely has really looked at the Detroit Lions. And, of course, you got to talk about the Green Bay Packers. So, no, I absolutely disagree. The Lions roster is one of the best in football, if not the best. They're young players, and we draft well. Young roster, draft well. Team was good already before this draft and offseason. We got better in the offseason. The Lions window is not going to be closed for a long time. And it could just keep going. This team could be good for a long time. Why? Because you have Brad Holmes drafting these players. He does great in the draft. When you consistently do well in the draft, you're replenishing these players with good players, and that's the whole point in building a roster. You got to be a magician in the draft, folks. That's how you build a roster. It is not free agency. You do not build a roster via free agency. That's what we did in the past, and it failed. You have to draft these guys, low, cheap contracts for players who are really good that can sustain an NFL season. That's why the age does matter. And best believe age does matter for that. When you get older, your body starts to break down. Okay, so no, our window is not closed. That's ridiculous. The line's going to be good for a long time. I think if they get an edge and a good corner in the draft, they probably should be favored to be in the Super Bowl, the favorites in the NFC. They really should be. I think the Lions can beat 49ers. I 100% believe they can beat the Philadelphia Eagles. I believe they can beat the Dallas Cowboys. I believe they can beat the Green Bay Packers. Matter of fact, I'd probably have Green Bay ahead of Dallas and Philly. And I'd probably put Detroit 1. I would put San Francisco 2, Green Bay 3. Some of these teams, the Eagles, they got some problems, is what it is. But no, our window is not closed. Folks, go ahead and subscribe to the channel again. That's what it's all about, is getting this channel to continue to grow. Ask questions in the comment section. Keep this up. I enjoy doing it. With that said, folks, adios.